Well, good morning. I have a microphone by me because it's kind of early and I don't want to wake anyone up in the house. Um, I'd like to greet everyone who's watching me by way of YouTube. And I'd like to respond to MC Shorty 82, Real Black Men Step Up. I think that was an excellent subject that you undertook, and I want to say something. I'm a black man, of course. That's what we're called. And I see a lot of that. We see all kinds of men having kids, and the children are illegitimate, for lack of a better term. They're bastard children because they don't have a father present. That's what they're called. But what I want to say about that is the problem, Brother Shorty, is it's lust, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. Men don't have control of their lust, and that's what makes them do the things that they do. Men don't control their lust, they don't control their desires, and that's what makes them do the things that they do. It's not a woman's place to raise a boy, to raise a young man. That's not her place. We see a lot of it happen. I was raised by my mother. My father wasn't around. My father was a womanizer and an alcoholic, and he wasn't around. And I found that as I grew older, I had to deal with the same challenges that he had to deal with. I'm going to turn another light on here. Give me a second. Hi, Mooney. It's a dog, Mooney. Camera. There you go. I found that I had to deal with the same challenges that my father had to deal with, and I'm going to tell you something that might seem a bit controversial, but it might seem okay. Good boy. Good boy. Sit down. Sit. No play. Nobody. Good boy. I'll tell you something that may seem controversial, and it may seem like a challenge to you, but you have to understand that as long as lust is running rampant in any of our lives, we are a part of the problem that we see. And we can't effectively address, you have a freedom of opinion. Everybody has free speech, and everybody has the right to their opinion. Everybody has the right to speak. But when you talk about a mass move or a change in society, a change, excuse me, in what men do and what people are doing, then you're talking about a spiritual metamorphosis or a spiritual change that has to take place. And I know most people don't like to deal with spiritual things, because when you start talking about spiritual things, you got to talk about God. And when you start talking about God, people don't want to hear it, because people have heard enough about God. But in a world where God has everybody breathing, everybody that is still here is still breathing. If you're not breathing, then you're not here no more. But everybody that's still here is breathing. And in a world where you have people who are breathing, then you should talk about God every day. Because if there were no God, there were no air. Make a long story short, our desires are what bring us into conflict and what bring us into certain forms of behavior that are unacceptable. It is clearly unacceptable for there to be so many children around without fathers. That's clearly unacceptable. There's no excuse for that. But that's only fruit from a problem. And the problem, as I said earlier, is our lust. Now, everything across the board has to be looked at when we talk about this problem of lust. Everything that we do as men has to be looked at. And God has to be remembered. God has to be honored. God has to be spoken of. God has to be in the picture. As a matter of fact, not in the picture. He has to be the one that determines what goes on in the frame, because without him, without his judgment, we're all left to our opinion. And just to be blunt with you, and I know this will bring me a lot of criticism and a lot of comments or response or, energy, but to be blunt with you, Brother MC, Shorty 82, you, me, every man that has lust, we're part of the problem. And unless you bring your lust under control and submit your lust to something bigger than you, something greater than you, and not live to promote your lust, then you are just as guilty as a man with 50 children that he's never taken care of. See, your persuasion is that you're gay. And you're not gay because you're created that way. You're not gay because you can't help yourself. You're gay because feelings that you have for men, you've decided that that's what you need to fulfill. Am I right? Okay, so the question is not why you're gay,